You're not lazy. I need you to hear that first. Because if you're watching this, you've probably spent years believing that you are. You know what you need to do, you've known all day, maybe all week, and you can't get yourself to do it. And the story you've been telling yourself, that you lack discipline, that everyone else can just sit down and work, that something is fundamentally wrong with you, that story is not the truth. It's a misdiagnosis. You're trying to solve a brain problem with willpower, and willpower was never the answer. I'm a clinical psychologist, and this is something I see constantly in practice. Smart, capable people who are stuck, not because they lack motivation, but because nobody ever showed them how their brain actually works. Today, I'm going to change that. I'm going to give you the foundation of a system, one you can attach all kinds of strategies to over time and figure out what actually works for your brain. But first, I need to tell you something about how to approach what I'm about to share, because the approach matters as much as the strategy. Before I give you any strategy, I need to share the thing that separates people who actually improve from people who watch videos like this and never change anything. There is no single magic strategy for focus. I know that's not what you want to hear, but every person who has ever told me I've tried everything has actually tried a handful of things, each for a few days, without a plan for how to evaluate whether it was actually working. That's not trying everything. That's additioning solutions and quitting before the results come in. So here's the shift. The people who figure this out don't find one perfect system. They find their system, and they find it the same way, by experimenting. Every strategy I share with you in this series is backed by research. It works, but I cannot predict which one will work best for you, because your brain, your life, your specific combination of strengths and challenges, that's unique. The only person who can figure out what works for you is you. And the way you do that is by trying things with a genuine commitment to testing them and then reflecting honestly on what happened. So here's the deal I want to make with you. As you watch this video, pick one thing, just one, and try it for a week. Not perfectly, not as a pass-fail test. Try it, notice what happens, and adjust based on what you learn. Try, reflect, adjust. That is the entire process. And in my experience, most people start making real progress once they commit to that process. The problem was never a lack of strategies. It was trying to find the right one without being willing to experiment. Here's the first thing I want you to understand. The things you've been blaming yourself for, the difficulty starting tasks, the disorganization, the feeling that simple things should not be this hard, these are not character flaws. They are skill challenges. And that distinction changes everything. Executive functioning is a set of cognitive skills: planning, task initiation, prioritizing, estimating time, holding information in your head while you work with it, shifting between tasks, regulating your emotions when things go sideways. These are skills. And like any skill, some people are naturally stronger in certain areas and weaker in others. That is not a moral judgment. It is a cognitive profile. But most people have never been taught to see it that way. They've been told by teachers, by parents, sometimes by their own inner voice, that the answer is to try harder. And when trying harder doesn't work, the conclusion they reach isn't, I need different tools, it's, I'm not good enough. This is where people get stuck, not at the level of strategy, at the level of identity. They've decided they're the kind of person who can get things done, and you cannot build systems on top of that belief, because every time the system slips, the belief gets confirmed. So let me give you a different way to think about this. If your vision is off, you don't squint harder. You get glasses. Nobody thinks wearing glasses means you're weak. Nobody says you should be able to see without those. Glasses are a tool that compensates for something your biology doesn't do well on its own. Executive functioning tools work the same way. A planner is not a crutch. A timer is not a crutch. A structured routine is not evidence that you're broken. These are corrective lenses. They bridge the gap between what your brain does naturally and what your life demands. And here's what I want you to notice. The most effective people I encounter in my work all use systems. Every one of them. They do not rely on memory to track commitments. They do not trust their internal sense of time. They have built external structures that do the organizational work for them. So the first step is not a strategy, it's permission. Permission to stop white-knuckling your way through the day and start building systems that actually support how your brain works. I want to start with a principle I come back to constantly in my work, and it's this. If you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. I mean that literally. A task you're holding in your head is not a plan. It's a wish. An intention you haven't written down is a hope, not a commitment. The moment you put something on paper or on your phone or on a sticky note, anywhere outside your head, it stops being a vague idea floating around in your brain and becomes something real, something you can see, prioritize, and act on. And this is not just true for people with executive functioning challenges. This is true for everyone. Trying to remember what you need to do is almost useless as a strategy because your brain was never designed to be a storage device. It's a processing device, and every task you force it to store is one less unit of capacity available for the work that actually matters. Here is the science. Your working memory, the part of your brain that holds information while you use it, can manage roughly 3 to 5 things at a time. Not 30, not 15, 3 to 5. And if you struggle with executive functioning, that number may be even lower under stress or distraction. Now, think about what most of us actually do every day. We try to hold our entire task list in our heads. Deadlines, promises, groceries, emails, appointments, all of it swimming around in a system built to hold 3 to 5 things. And then we wonder why we feel overwhelmed, why we forget things, why we sit down to work and cannot figure out where to start. That is not laziness, that is a brain running out of room. The solution is what psychologists call cognitive offloading, systematically getting things out of your head and into an external system that you trust. This frees your working memory to do what it was actually designed for: processing, problem solving, and engaging with the task in front of you. This is the principle behind every organizational system that works. It is not about being organized for its own sake. It is about freeing up mental bandwidth. When everything you need to do lives somewhere external that you trust, your brain can stop trying to hold it and actually focus. Here are 3 specific ways to put this into practice. Pick one, run the experiment. Number 1, plan tomorrow tonight. Before you go to bed, take 5 minutes, literally 5. This should not be an elaborate ritual. And write down the 3 things that matter most for tomorrow. Not 15 things, 3. What are the 3 tasks, if you complete them, make tomorrow a successful day? Where I see people make the most progress with this, it's not about creating a perfect plan, it's about removing a decision. Right now, sitting on your couch, you can think clearly about what matters. And every decision point you eliminate preserves a little bit more of your executive functioning for the task itself. Number 2, externalize everything. If a task, a deadline, a commitment, or even a passing thought enters your mind during the day, write it down immediately. If you don't write it down, it doesn't exist. This is especially powerful during focused work. The biggest focus killer is not your phone, it's your own mind. You are working on a report and suddenly you remember you need to email someone, or you think of something for a different project. And now your brain is splitting its limited resources between the task and the thought. It cannot do both well. So keep what I call a capture list next to you when you work. When a thought intrudes, write it on the list and return to the task. You are not ignoring the thought, you are parking it. You will come back to it later. But right now, your working memory is free to do its actual job. Number 3, Reduce unnecessary decisions. This is the one people do not expect. Every decision you make during the day, what to eat, what to work on next, which email to answer first, draws from a limited pool of executive resources. That pool does not regenerate on demand. By afternoon, you're running on fumes, not because you're lazy, because you've been making decisions all day. So whenever you can, standardize. Have a morning routine that follows the same sequence every day so you're not making decisions before you're fully awake. Batch similar tasks together so you're not constantly switching contexts. And when you planned your 3 priorities last night, you already made the biggest decision of the day. Tomorrow, you just execute. One more thing. Because this connects directly to everything I just told you about working memory and cognitive load, and it's one of the most surprising findings in this area. A meta-analysis of 22 studies confirmed what researchers at the University of Texas first demonstrated. The mere physical presence of your smartphone near you while you work reduces your available cognitive capacity, even when your phone is face down, even when it's silent, even when it is turned off. Let me say that again. Your phone does not have to buzz. You do not have to look at it. The simple act of having it nearby is enough to reduce your brain's ability to focus, because part of your limited cognitive resources are being spent on the effort of not thinking about it. This is why environment matters. Your workspace is either supporting your brain or competing with it. And for people with limited executive resources, that competition is the difference between a productive session and a wasted afternoon. So the practical takeaway, when you sit down to work, put your phone in another room. Not in your pocket, not face down on the desk, another room. Same principle as everything else in this video. You are not building more willpower. You are not becoming the kind of person who can resist their phone. You are removing the demand on your brain entirely. That is the difference between fighting your environment and designing it. So here's your experiment. Tonight, before you go to bed, take 5 minutes and plan tomorrow. Write down 3 priorities, just 3. Put them somewhere you will see first thing in the morning. And if it does not work perfectly, good. That's data. Adjust and try again. That is how this works. So drop a comment and tell me how it went. I read all of them and I will respond. So this is the first video in a series called Why Your Brain Won't Cooperate. Today was about the foundation. Stop blaming yourself, start experimenting, and build external systems that work with your brain instead of against it. But here's what I have noticed in practice. Most people can build the system, they can write the list, plan the day, set up the structure. Where they get stuck is the gap between having a plan and actually following it. That gap between intention and action is one of the most frustrating experiences in executive functioning. And it is exactly what the next video is about. I'm going to teach you a technique from the research that directly targets that gap. It is one of the most effective tools I know for this, and the research behind it, especially for people with executive functioning challenges, is remarkable. I will link it right here. I'm Dr. Tab Shamsi. I post new videos every week on anxiety, focus, and how your brain actually works. If that sounds useful, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.